This is my brutally honest review of Farrow and Ball paint, my love-hate relationship with it. The pleasure as well as the pain. When a customer says to me, I'm going to use Farrow and Ball, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to sand the wall down within an inch of its life because any imperfections will show. With another paint like Leyland Trade or Dulux, it's got filler in so it covers it up a bit. I mean, any painter and decorator knows that the prep is the key to good stuff. It's how you sand down the walls and the surfaces. But this is something else. You've really got to sand down that wall. Also, it often needs 3 coats of paint, not 2. I mean, I do the thickest I can. I can't go too thick or it starts to drip. I do the thickest I can. But what I tend to do is I say to the customer, look, it might need 3 coats. I do 2. We have a look at it. And a lot of the time, it's really close about whether it needs a 3rd coat, but ultimately it does. And so it's not just expensive paint, it needs a 3rd coat as well, which makes it even more expensive. And also it's not a kind of paint for protection. It doesn't really protect the surfaces like sort of the trade paints and the industrial paints do, or even the regular consumer ones. So, I mean, it'll never be used in a factory or a warehouse, and it'll never be used sort of in a property that's going to get abused. It's not that kind of thing. So I have got a customer where I can see the kids are going to kick a wall around a lot. I mean, it's just not the right paint. So there's a lot of things that are issues with it. I mean, when you go to the shops, you don't see painter decorators hanging around in it. You just don't. It's sort of consumers, high-end consumers and people like that. But when I go as a painter and decorator, they're incredibly nice to me, incredibly good service. But it's not aimed at that. It's aimed at the high-end consumers who come in and they're the people that want it. So it's not so much something that painters and decorators sort of go for. A lot of the stuff that is marketed to painters and decorators is like, look, this is going to make your life easy, this is going to make it quicker and all the rest of it, or this will do a beautiful job. Farrow and Ball market themselves for consumers because it's the consumers that recommend it, want it. It's the high-end consumers. Personally, in my experience, I don't see it's the painters and decorators. And so this is sort of the stuff I don't like about it and I find difficult. But now for the other side of the coin, which is that it does create a beautiful finish. I mean, it's kind of ethereal. I don't completely know how they do it, but I can tell you the science I do know, which is basically the difference between Farrow and Ball paint and your other ones is Farrow and Ball has a lot of pigment in and less filler. And you may think, well, the filler is just a filler, but I mean, from my experience, walls are just plasterboard and that's not very strong, but it does protect a wall. I mean, a wall isn't held up with plasterboard, it's held up with the joists behind it and the wooden struts or metal struts, depending what your building is. So it does make a difference having the filler. It does give some strength. It also means that it's sort of, you don't have to sand so much because it evens it out more. But the Farrow and Ball beautiful sort of ethereal finish, that comes from just having loads of pigment and not much filler. But interestingly, customers don't seem to appreciate this. I mean, I'm getting so many customers, especially recently when people are a bit more short of money, saying, oh, there's a Farrow and Ball colour and I found this website or way that I can replicate it using another brand. And Farrow and Ball's marketing, from what I can see, I might be wrong, but from what I've seen, it's talking about the colour consultants and all that kind of stuff. It's not talking about the beautiful finish it has. It's probably there, but it's not the bit that's catching my customer's eye or my bit. And so customers don't really appreciate that the difference isn't just the colour, it's how it comes out on the wall. I mean, anyone who really knows their colours knows there's only so many colours around there. If you look at printing, there's Pantene colours and all the rest of it, or any kind of thing, how colours are, there's only so many. And all the companies are basically getting normal colours and giving them fancy names. So it isn't anything to get that excited about, but it's sort of made fashionable and all the rest of it. But customers don't seem to appreciate the amazing thing is the kind of finish you get. And ultimately, when I do get a customer who does realise it's about the finish, does realise how hard it is to do, does realise what it's about, that isn't wanting a paint that's protective and all the rest of it, but is wanting a beautiful colour, really appreciates it, then that's perfect. But there aren't a lot out there. It's basically, if you like, a bit like having a McLaren or a Ferrari, and sort of you can't go, oh, I can sort of go cross country with this things or really handle it, it's a beautiful thing. It's like a fine suit. It's a beautiful thing. And the fact it does have more pigment and less filler does sort of evidently make it smooth. That's sort of happening. So when I love Farrow and Ball is when it's for the right customer who really appreciates that. And there was a guy called Jack Tramiel who used to make Commodore computers, and he was competing with Apple. And he said that his computers were for the masses and Apple's were for the classes. And it's kind of like that with Farrow and Ball. There's a reason why their shops are in higher end areas like Hampstead and all the rest of it. They're not sort of in the areas that sort of the painters and decorators tend to hang out with, or sort of where they sort of tend to hang out. It's going for that high-end consumer, and when someone really appreciates it, it is amazing. I mean, I do go into a place and I can see when it's Farrow and Ball. It's amazingly smooth. It just has that certain ethereal something. I've seen it in very high 5-star hotels. So when somebody appreciates it, it is amazing. So what it really comes down to, like a lot of these things, it isn't the paint, it's the customer. When you have a customer who appreciates it, it meets their needs. Farrow and Ball paint is a very niche thing, not just the pricing, but someone who doesn't need something that is kind of massively durable because they haven't got like people running around hitting things. They really appreciate that. And the jobs that I'm the most proud of, many of them are Farrow and Ball paint. Excuse me. So when it's right, I love it. Now, I'd love to know what you think. That's my experience and the painters and decorators I've worked with. There's loads of stuff I don't know. I'm learning all the time. That's what I understand now in my experience. Please do your comments. I learn so much from you and the other people that do the videos. I could be totally wrong. And I'd love to know if you think I am. If you think I've been unfair, tell me. If you think I've been the other way and too generous, tell me. Please do subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you soon.